Hi, and welcome to Gotham TV Podcast, episode 33. I'm Derek, I'm one of your hosts.
Hi, I'm John, one of your other hosts, and I think you'll find this is Gotham TV Podcast and the biggest Joker Watch ever.
Yeah, if you didn't tell from our intro, if we got our technical issues sorted, you can tell from our intro this is all about the Joker this week. Why is that, John?
Because there could be the Joker showing up in Gotham tonight in the US.
That's right.
We hasten to add, we don't normally do this. We haven't seen it. It's purely going on the fact that if you look at Twitter, if you look at Facebook, if you look at Google+, of which you can, of course, find us at Gotham TV Podcast on all of those different platforms. But if you look anywhere at the moment on the internet, all you can see is no joke, ha 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 ha. And obviously this very Joker-looking chap who is recognisable now on the screen, and apparently we might have the introduction of the Joker.
Yeah, so we thought we'd do an episode tonight. Very quick, and I think just talking about our thoughts about the idea of bringing the Joker to Gotham and some of the feedback we've received over the last couple of weeks about it, and the actor who's been cast in the role in Gotham. Is he the Joker, or could he be the Joker?
Well, he's slated down as Jerome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what Bruno Heller has talked about him to The Hollywood Reporter. He's down as Jerome on IMDb as well. Mm-hmm. So, his name is Jerome so far. Yep. I'm thinking Gattaca now for some reason.
Okay.
But he's not labelled, he's not cast specifically as the Joker as such.
Yeah, so let's take it back a step. So first off, the trailer for this week's episode in the US of Gotham, which is episode 16, called The Flying Graysons, has a quick teaser was released for it last week, which ended with a scene where Jim Gordon is interviewing a young boy. You only see his face for a brief second, but the teaser finishes with a laugh. And all week, the Gotham showrunners and Gotham producers and everybody involved in Gotham has been teasing that the Joker arrives in this episode. Episode 17, which airs next week, obviously, is called The Red Hood, which has significant connections to the Joker as well. So the speculation is that this is the introduction of the character of the Joker. The actor playing him is an actor called Cameron Monaghan, who we know from Shameless, and he was also in episodes of Fringe as well.
Yeah, he played Ian Gallagher in the US version of Shameless, which is actually one of the best examples, to my mind, of a great UK British transfer of a UK show over to America done, and he played Ian Gallagher. I think he was one of the younger brothers in the Gallagher nest, and a pretty breakout star. He played the younger gay brother within that show. So again, really good. And then, as you said, the other is Fringe, where he played. I think it was an episode called Of Human Action in season 2, episode 7. He was just there for one episode now, back in 2009, so it's a way back now. But Fringe is another one of our shows that we really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I do remember him playing fairly understated and disturbing malevolence in that, where he looked like he'd been kidnapped in this episode, but actually he was using his own telepathy to control his apparent captors to try and actually get back to his mother. But I just remember he was fairly he played a fairly disturbed child in that, and kind of, quite evil really in terms of what he was doing. He killed people. Yeah. And so those two bits of TV I have really, really enjoyed him in. And his part in all those shows.
Yeah, we've definitely seen some good examples of Cameron Monaghan. Kind of interested to see what he does in the show. So, first up, I suppose, again, why is the Joker such a big character? I suppose for a lot of people, there's a lot of fans of Gotham that may not be big fans of the comic book. So one of the big things, I suppose, last year was Batman's 75th anniversary. It was the 75th anniversary of his first appearance in Detective Comics number 39, I think it was. which was the first ever appearance of the character. Joker's first appearance was in 1940, which the following year. So this year is actually the Joker's 75th anniversary. So quite a significant character for a very long period of time. He's been around. So a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions about him. He's been played a lot of times up against Batman. He is the major Batman villain. And we've never really seen a backstory for the character. One of the most intriguing things about the Joker really is that we don't know where he came from. We don't know who he was before he was the Joker. Many of the comic book appearances. Some of the movie ones, like the Jack Nicholson version of him in Tim Burton's Batman, gave you a backstory of who he was before, as a young man, I suppose. But no, we haven't seen much of a backstory. So this will be the first time in Gotham where they'll be giving some kind of backstory to the Joker as to who he was before he became the Joker.
But it's also the much younger backstory, because the Red Hood ultimately is another version of the Joker. That's partly a backstory as well, as you say.
That's true.
So was Tim Burton's kind of look on it. Again, it was all as younger adults. This potentially could delve back further. I mean, we also have to put our hands up here and say this could be quite a nice little misdirection. We could actually be spending the next sort of 10 to 15 minutes talking about absolute nonsense. I mean, we're not going to actually be able to see it until sometime, probably in April at this stage.
That's right.
When it's back on Channel 5, and when RT2 has caught up. But this could all be messing with us. I mean, the one thing I would say about that is that in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Bruno Heller was quite clear that, it's something he has been thinking about introducing into Gotham, bringing in the origins, or at least exploring those origins and the background to the Joker. He's very much of the view that it is a long game, so that we might not, if this is the Joker, we know it's Jerome, but if this is Cameron Monaghan playing the origins of the Joker, that they're going to play a long game that they're going to play on the show. I mean, they've got a season 2, so that they know they've got more time, and significantly more time. It might not be like some of the other shows like The Mask, where, you're introduced to that in one episode, or even maybe a few of the other episodes so far. Yeah. I suspect it's not going to be
even the Penguin. The Penguin's been in every episode of the first 10 that we've seen. So
yeah, so it could be that long drawn out slow burn, and at the end of the day, there is confirmation from Bruno Heller, the showrunner, that he said that he may or he may not be the Joker.
Yeah.
But he did say that all I can promise is that it's not a bait and switch.
Okay.
So basically, what we're being told about Cameron Monaghan is that if he is the Joker, or the young version of the Joker, whoever that person is called, in this case Jerome, he is that.
Yeah.
I suspect. If he's not, well, then he's not.
Right, okay.
And again, just quickly, that if he's not, whether he is or he isn't, you nonetheless need to pay attention, is what Bruno Heller said in The Hollywood Reporter.
Interesting. So he's basically telling you to watch the show.
Which is
make
good.
Sure you pay attention to it, which is very good.
He will pick up his wage.
I like it. So the greatest trick the creator of Gotham ever pulled was making everybody watch out for the Joker when he didn't appear. Is that? Is that the basic premise? Okay, cool. All right, let's go to a little bit of feedback that we got on Twitter about the idea of bringing in the Joker on Gotham. So the first one we got was from Matt Schallenberger, who said when asked about the idea of introducing the Joker, he says, "I'd rather see Enigma becoming more detached. Honestly, Joker kind of fractures the flow. I'd like to see pre-Bats films first. Still." Do you want to take the next one?
Yeah. Gotham's Army then said if Joker was to show up, he would need 2 seasons alone because he's the Joker. Like, he's that big.
Yep. Ricky Velez says definitely, yes.
Yeah. Yvonne Clark, I think by the end of the season, i.e. season 1, it's a good time. Cliffhanger-ish. Penguin still needs to rise and a bit more before Joker, she thinks.
And Sci-Fi for Chicks say, oh no, Gotham is getting too crowded already.
It's an interesting point. Ashley Noel says, the show has been so Penguin-centric, hate to see him go.
Right. So interesting, isn't it? That there's a lot of kind of alternating feedback from people on Twitter. There's a lot of very strong feelings about the fact of bringing him in early. Definitely my feeling from the stuff that I've seen and stuff that's been around. I can't imagine this is going to be a very central character, particularly of how young he is, being played by Cameron Monaghan. Again, we'll know a lot more in a couple of months' time when we get to see the episode. But a lot of the feeling is that it's too early to bring in Batman's greatest villain before Batman has donned the cape and cowl. Really, what would you think of that?
Well, I mean, all those Twitter feedback on the idea of the Joker, it all comes back to, should the Joker be introduced at all into Gotham? I mean, it's something that I think was out there before it aired in the US in September about whether they would do or not. And I think certainly back then, well, people just didn't know how Gotham was going to be taken, the issues maybe people thought about, well, are they going to actually like it? Are they going to like to see a young Bruce Wayne? I mean, people are more comfortable now. They've seen David Mazouz. They're used to that. He's playing the young Bruce Wayne excellently. He's really knocking that out of the park.
Yeah.
There was also potentially, well, who would you get to play it? You think of all these iconic actors, Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson, you've got Mark Hamill in the animated version, Troy Baker, and so on. All these different huge characters and voice actors and that play this role and have done it seamlessly. All of a sudden it's like, well, who plays a younger version? Can they put that malevolence and evil across at such a young age? Or do we see how he becomes twisted and sort of corrupted in that sense? And I mean, I suppose then that comes back to the other side of the argument, which would be part of his appeal as a character, as a nemesis to Batman, is the lack of backstory.
Yeah.
And that you don't know where he's come from. His brand of evil and his counterpoint to Batman is that he has no raison d'etre. He has no reason for doing what he does. It is motiveless. It's chaotic. It's kind of the idea that was brought in by Heath Ledger. He does it to do it for no other reason. All these other criminals who have got business interests are essentially politicians on the wrong side of the law. That he has no interest in that. He does it, and he does it for no other reason than to create chaos and to profit from that chaos in society.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of it. I thought some of the Twitter points are kind of quite valid too, about, well, there are a lot of people in this show now. I get the impression that if Cameron Monaghan is the Joker, or turns out to be the young version of the Joker, at this stage he is Jerome. I suspect he will really be very long game. That's obviously what Bruno Heller has said. I think some of the Twitter points that said, we really still need to see what happens with the Penguin. We still really need to see what happens with Edward Nygma in particular. He is still Edward Nygma. Maybe we won't see the Riddler as such. But there's these two big characters at the moment. I think if they're introducing the Joker, it will be shown, and then we might not see it for a long time to come, or maybe even just further down the tracks.
Yeah, our friends over at the Gotham TV After Show made a quick video about the idea of the Joker coming to the show, and one of their points was that there are certain lines as comic book fans that, you allow people their leeway, and one of their points that they had made was that if the Joker is introduced into the show, that's kind of crossing quite a significant line. That's kind of leaving nothing for the character of Batman to have happen to him when he arrives in the city. He comes back to save the city from the mobsters, the gangsters who are now overrunning it, and after a period of time of being back in the city in standard canon is when the craziness starts to elevate. And part of the big version of that craziness is the Joker and the introduction of that character. So if you have him arriving, 10 years before Batman comes back as Batman, is that the show overstepping the line, which I thought was an interesting point to bring in, For me, I've mentioned a number of times, actually, with regards to them bringing in characters. Very much over the first 10 episodes of the show, we saw a huge amount of characters from, Batman canon and stories of Gotham and the city. It seems like all they're trying to do is fill out the city. There's, thousands and thousands of people who live there, and they're telling occasional stories about some of the characters. So they could very easily tell this story about the character who will eventually become the Joker and not do anything else with him. They could have him in for 2 or 3 minutes of this episode, and we may not see him again. We will hopefully see some of them in episode 17 about the Red Hood. You may see some elements of him in there. But, maximum 15, 20 minutes of screen time, and then you may never see the actor Cameron Monaghan on the show again for 2 or 3 years because they're just trying to fill out the citizens of the city of Gotham. It does feel like, from all the previous stuff that we do know about the Joker, that he is a Gothamite. He is from that city, and he wants to stay there in that city. That's basically the only thing we know about him. So why not introduce a character early that could reference? We've been waiting for it. We checked it every single episode during the first half of the season. We did our little Joker watch to make sure that we were catching every point that could be leading to a possible Joker. The one other point I will make about the idea of the Joker, this came out of nowhere. This was a little teaser that was put out last week by them saying the Joker's coming next week. Think of the amount of speculation that came when Jared Leto was cast as the Joker. They've kept this one under wraps for months. Fair dues to the PR team and to the team behind Gotham. They've kept under wraps the actor playing. It could possibly be playing the Joker. They've kept that under wraps very, very well.
Well, that's it. Again, you will potentially have possibly 2 different actors playing the same DC character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have that with The Flash, ultimately, where you have different TV as opposed to film casting. And now maybe we have that with Cameron Monaghan, and as Jerome, as the future Joker.
I even thought it was actually Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson's laugh mixed in. I thought it was actually a mix.
Yeah, there's an element where it also feels traditional as well, a traditional Joker laugh, as well as sort of most recent, up-to-date version done by Heath Ledger in film, at least.
Yep.
I mean, just quickly coming back as well, I think, a lot of people said it depends on who plays Joker. I think for me, if Cameron Monaghan is playing the person who will ultimately become the Joker, because I think that's all we can really say at this moment. He isn't the Joker.
Yeah.
He is the person who will come to be the Joker.
Yes.
The Red Hood and what happens at Ace Chemicals is how the Joker is formed, in a sense. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that story is known.
Yeah.
This is something very different. You aren't going to go suddenly years in advance to that point. That is where the Joker, in terms of aesthetic, in terms of look, I think what's really good about Cameron Monaghan is that his look suggests that you could see that with white face paint on and so on, or as a result of an accident of falling into a vat of chemicals, that he's got that kind of smile, the look, and so on, that you could go, oh, I could see that with the makeup of the Joker, or that look of the Joker. But then, to me, he's a really good pick from the look and from the bits of TV that I have really enjoyed. Shameless USA, obviously, and Fringe. He's been in both of those, obviously in Shameless with an established reoccurring role, and he was excellent.
Yeah.
So I've got a sense of his acting chops, which I really like. He's got the look, I think, from just that little snippet.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I know they can do a lot, but there's that look there. And so, in terms of that, perfect. And again, Bruno Heller in The Hollywood Reporter said, he brings his own game. This is not going to be a copy and paste.
Yep.
It's not going to be an homage. This is someone bringing their own acting skills to the table. And I think I mean, we've talked about this previously and quite a lot. That is so important. Ben McKenzie isn't going to copy everyone who has played Jim Gordon before. Robin Lord Taylor isn't going to copy the people who have played Oswald Cobblepot or the Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they will look at that. They will read the comics. They'll get a feel. But there is a profession there where they bring their own game to the table.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's a really good answer to the question for people who don't want to see the Joker on Gotham. You're absolutely right. You're not going to see the Joker on Gotham. That's still a prediction for me. You're never going to see the Joker on Gotham. It's not going to happen. You may see Cameron Monaghan play a part. Occasionally, he might be an occasional appearance. I would say very rare, at the least. I'd say maybe an episode here or there over the next couple of seasons. My prediction is you'll never actually see the Joker, because he doesn't come around until Batman comes around. That's my prediction. And with that, is that end of Joker Watch for this week?
It is end of Joker Watch.
And pretty much the end of the episode. We do have a bit of feedback sent to feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com, just like you can. This feedback came in from Rebecca Johnson. She says, I just wanted to write in to say how much I enjoyed hearing you discuss Batman Hush. It's my favourite Batman story and one of my all-time favourite comics. Hearing you talk about the plot and characters with such thoughtfulness and excitement makes me want to reread it. Thanks, Rebecca. That's exactly what we were hoping for. She goes on to say, I've always really liked Jeff Loeb's writing. I think he's such a good grasp of the Batman character and the relationships of Batman and Catwoman and Batman and Superman. Like you mentioned, I also really like how Jeff Loeb was able to use all of the Batman family as well as a good chunk of the Rogues Gallery. And even though I'm a fan of Jeff Loeb Tim Sale team-ups, I love Jin Lee's art, and I especially love how he draws Batman and Catwoman. Thanks for taking a few episodes to review Hush.
Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, no, I mean, really pleased you enjoyed it, and anyone else who has been listening, please send in any of your thoughts about Hush and those reviews, and any of our other reviews of other comics like Gotham Central or the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, and any of those.
I was just going to say, if you want to hear a bit more of our thoughts on a Joker character, go back and listen to our episode on The Dark Knight, which is quite heavily, obviously, centered around Heath Ledger's amazing performance of the Joker. That's always available on iTunes and on Stitcher and on our website. You can go seek those episodes out while we're still on our break.
And Player FM as well.
And Player FM, of course. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Google+. You can find us, obviously, using Gotham TV Podcast. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you so much for listening.
And next time we'll be joined by two other Gothamites to talk through their thoughts so far and their thoughts for the future.
Yeah, we will be having a European roundtable with people on this side of the Atlantic this time. So we hope you all tune in to listen, and we can't wait to record. Again for you guys, so thank you.
Thanks very much. Bye now.